At Kawukudi, evicted to allow traders from Arts Center relocate to pave way for the Marine Drive project.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia expresses concern over high cost of projects under previous administration.
Seafarers call for global attention on security threats inhibiting their work.
And in business, Tem Oil Refinery shut down again following shortage of crude oil at the facility.
And on the international front this evening, 2 dead after Saturday's explosion at a rally in Zimbabwe's city, Bulawayo.
We're in the studio, we're going to Russia.
Yeah.
What is the time in Russia by this time?
3 hours ahead of us, so by 8 p.m.
So do you think they should be having dinner or they've long had one? I mean, Russians, they didn't go quite well for them.
They have theirs. But of course, what Issa is trying to talk about is the fact that they lost their first game. And that happens to be the very first loss of this World Cup after 3 games. And it happened to come up against the favorites to qualify out of that particular group, Uruguay. But it was 2 Africans in actions today, one currently playing against Spain in a game that is tied at 1-1, and the other losing miserably to Saudi Arabia, 2-1, but of course in the final minutes to knock them off their perch. But we'll bring you all the details in the World Cup right here on News 360. Just keep watching the channel.
Let's get into our top stories now this evening. About 150 squatters occupying a piece of land at Kawukudi have been evicted to allow traders at the Arts Center to relocate. This is to pave way for the construction of the new Arts and Crafts Village under the Marine Drive project.
By 9 a.m., bulldozers were moved in to demolish makeshift structures amidst heavy security, while some occupants salvaged their property. The squatters, numbering about 150, were however provided with a financial package.
It was such a short notice. If this matter had gone to the rent control, they would have given us enough time to move out. They gave each person 800 Ghana cedis, which is not enough.
It's a government land, it's not your land. And you can't fight with government, you can't fight with rights. So once government understands, even they are sacking some people, they didn't give us even 1 citizen, they didn't give the people. But at the end of the day, they will sack you.
Government intends to relocate the traders from the Arts Center to Kawukudi to allow the projects to take off.
We are doing a temporary structure for the people at Arts Center to have the stalls here to sell their wares. So, and then those that manufacture there to have some place to do that. Then it's a temporary thing. Though the structures that are being put here, we built here, can last us, a lifetime.
The $1.5 billion public-private partnership initiative, spearheaded by the Tourism Ministry, seeks to harness the arts, create a cultural village, and boost tourism in Ghana. It is also targeted at creating 150,000 jobs, especially for the youth, from its construction to the operational stage.
Now, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has called for competitiveness and transparency in awarding of contracts. Opening a procurement conference in Accra, he expressed concern over the high cost of projects under the previous administration, which he said is affecting the national budget.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, expressed disappointment over the inflating of the cost of projects. which he said seriously affected national budget. He expressed shock at the $25 million cost of an 80-bed district hospital put up between 2014 and 2016, and cited 150-bed hospital funded by the African Development Bank over the same period at the cost of $3 million. The vice president again alluded to a 1,000-bed hospital constructed by businessman Aliko Dangote at $20 million.
Are believed to be in excess of those accepted in the sub-region and globally. For instance, a comparative analysis reveals that better quality hospitals are currently built at more cost-effective rates in places like India than in Ghana.
He urged government appointees to ensure value for money.
We want to come out following this conference with standard designs for schools, for hospitals, and roads with their accompanying bills of quantities. We should therefore be able to set maximum costs for constructing a district hospital or a 6-unit classroom block as a guide to the procurement process.
The Minister of Finance, Ken Oforiatta, called on chief directors at the various ministries to scrutinize projects before approval.
If the answer is no, and you are also agitating for salary increases, and then of course the justification, well, this is what AESL brought us. And I'm saying, well, fundamentally, would you spend this type of money for your own house? And if it's no, why are we extending it to government?
Senior Minister Yaosafo Mafo urged the Finance Ministry to ensure timely release of funds for value for money.
If between 2-3 officers, assuming the money is available, and they delay in the processing between Minister of Education and Minister of Finance for 1 month on a project of that size, you are adding 1/12 of the 2.5 million, and you're adding 208,000 cedis or $1,000, depending on which currency. How much do you earn? So delays cost money to Ghana.
The Value for Money conference was to set up standards for proposed government projects. Other discussions centered on conducting risk assessment for various contracts.
Mr. Alex Segbefia is a former Minister of Health under the SWAL NDC administration, in office between 2015 January and 2017. And he has joined us by phone. Good evening, Mr. Segbefia, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening to you and good listening to your viewers.
Right, we've heard about the construction of a $25 million district hospital. Now, what is your response to the alleged inflation of cost of the 80-bed hospital put up under the NDC administration between 2014 and 2016?
Well, I think there are a number of points that have to be made first. I think that the first thing that I will say is that a comparison of this nature is unfortunate because it doesn't give enough detail. You can purchase a vehicle, which is a 1.6 engine, and you get a similar model, same looking vehicle, which is a 3-liter engine, with completely different pricing. But if you look at the two vehicles, face value, they look the same. So it is what goes into the hospital that matters. And you have to look at it. Even in his rendition, if you listen to Dr. Bawumia himself, he did make mention that he was giving quoting figures without the cost of equipment and gave a rough figure of what that equipment cost. He didn't talk about access roads. He didn't talk about issues to deal with accommodation for the staff that work at any given hospital. And so to make comparisons without looking at the separate contracts separately to see what has actually gone into those contracts is not the way to go. And we therefore would give you figures which do not actually make what's for good reading if you don't have a good comparison. And therefore, I would have hoped that this type of comparison would have been left to the serial callers and not at the level at which we are dealing with it here. He should come out with the ADB hospital, give the details, and then look at the hospitals we have built. Bearing in mind that the Dodowa Hospital, which is one of the hospitals we built and commissioned, has now been declared by WHO as what should be the standard norm for hospitals in terms of district hospitals, and is going to be should be brought out Africa-wide. And therefore, with that kind of commendation, we should be careful how we knock what has been done. That is not to say that a general situation of looking for value for money is not being condemned, but when you try to link it to your previous government and what has happened, then we have concerns, because you then have to do a proper comparison. The next issue is that none of these contracts that, that are being spoken about are dealt with in isolation. These contracts go through a process. They go through the ministry first, then they go to cabinet, and then from cabinet they go to parliament. In parliament, the committee that deals with it, whichever contract it is looked at by both minority and also majority. So it is scrutinized by all parties, including party people who come from within the different political realms. And then that is where the debate goes. There's arguments, take this out, we don't think this is the right cost, blah, blah, blah. Value for money audits are sometimes asked for. They do value for money audits before it's brought back. So by the time it gets to the full house, further questions are asked. So before these contracts are passed, they have been scrutinized by all parties, both sides of the house. So to make that type of a comparison, then it's best he also then begins to criticize his parliamentarians if he feels that there are certain things that didn't go right or didn't go well. There have been times when, for example, the Ridge Hospital is an example, when the first pricing was done, there were complaints, there were issues raised. What happened? It was sent back, it was looked back, and the price was reduced. And the contractor was told to cut out certain things, and some of the pricing wasn't done. So there are checks and balances that check pricing within any project that is done. And it is unfortunate that he has gone down this particular road. Generally speaking, yes,
Mr. Segwefia,
yes, sir.
If you can listen to me, I'm sure recently you have watched the Anas Armiao Anas video. Yes. The GFA president also made similar analysis and said that the cost of contracts in America is quite smaller compared to Ghana. So are you denying that there is contracts in Ghana are quite higher than in other countries, even in America? Is that what you're saying?
Let me put it this way. If you live in America and you work and you earn an income and you go for a loan, you can get a loan at 5%, 6%, 7%. If you're living and working in Ghana, you get a loan at 28%. Why? Why? 30%, 40% loan agreement. It's money you're borrowing. So those type of comparisons are based on various factors. You have to look at the climate, what people think the risk is in doing business, in lending money, etc. So you cannot look at the costing in one jurisdiction as against the other in isolation. You have to look at all the factors. And therefore, sometimes in some jurisdictions, it is more costlier to do business than in others. If you go to a war-torn area and you want to borrow money, the interest rates and the kind of money you can get is low, and the interest rates are phenomenal. If you go to a place where it is considered to have a stable currency, stable economy, the way you borrow money and what you can get and what you can use it for and the quantities are different. So that type of overarching comparison, it doesn't wash with me. And for most people who understand how it works, that is not the way these things work. Can I also add that you have to take into account that this is not the first time we are hearing such comments. And therefore, we want, when these comments are made, they should be backed properly. We heard about the Ameri deal, that it was a bad contract. It was this. It had been overinflated. What has happened? It's now been accepted, and even has been extended by this government. You heard about the Kasua flyover, and we were told that it was overinflated, it was this. When they actually looked at all the amenities that had to go with it, the bypass, the kind of facilities that had to be put in place, their own person at the time came out and said, look, we went through this in Parliament, the pricing is correct, everything. We've heard nothing again about the Kasua interchange.
Okay, but Mr. Segwefia, I would like to come in here. Hello?
That is going on with regard to the Ministry of Communications, and we have raised issues on it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Alex Segwefia. Due to time considerations, we could not extend this topic. I'm sure we'll find some more time to delve deeper into it and answer all the questions. Alex Segwefia is a former minister in the NDC administration.
Some other news this evening. President Akufo-Addo says the fastest way to resolve the country's economic challenges is through entrepreneurship and effective economic development. Speaking at the presidential pitch for startups in Accra, the president reiterated government's resolve to support the growth of businesses.
1,000 young Ghanaian entrepreneurs applied but were shortlisted to 500. 10 finalists were selected to pitch their business ideas to a panel of judges. They will receive between 10,000 cedis and 50,000 cedis to help them fund their businesses, depending on their scope.
My team together, we've made an initial investment of land at the value of 30,000 Ghana cedis. And then we are asking for 50,000 Ghana cedis to help us purchase the carbonization machine to help us produce at 10 tons per day.
We are going to assemble at least 6 of the FACO ambulance to operate, like I said, focus in the northern region. And then if the business goes well, then we scale up to other deprived communities in the country.
In the first year of our business, we project 10 permanent jobs with over 100 commission-based job opportunities for nurses, doctors, and other health service providers.
The maiden presidential pitch was won by 19-year-old Vanessa Aisha Liman, who received 50,000 cedis prize from the president to help fund her agro-processing initiative.
What is the 3-month projection plan?
Okay, if you invest 55,000 Ghana cedis as raw materials for capital and everything, we make a profit of 25,000 Ghana cedis in 3 months.
The 19-year-old young lady from Gulu, Vanessa Liman, for special attention and a personal donation of 25,000 cedis.
You're watching News 360, and we have to speak to Chief Superintendent Kwesi Furi in the Ghana Police Service. And there's a reported case of curfew in central part of Accra. Actually, I experienced it myself this afternoon. I saw a small van announcing in the afternoon, that's about 12:30 this afternoon, that by 7:30 p.m. all businesses should close up. That's around Mamprobi Abodwe this afternoon. I heard it myself. Mr. Chief Superintendent, how are you? Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
I don't know if you are aware of this so-called curfew we're hearing this evening. What is your response to that?
Thank you very much. The Greater Accra Regional Police Command would like to assure members of the public that no curfew has been put in place in the central part of Accra, particularly Gamashi, Wesi, Jamestown, and the surrounding areas. It is a false alarm, and that RESEC has also not put such a message across. And we all know that curfew in some parts of the country, if it should happen, falls under the domain of the Minister for the Interior. So we've seen a lot of movements in the central parts of Accra. It is unfortunate, and no traditional leader in that area has the power, to impose curfew.
So,
if certain rights are able to be performed,
yes,
it is appropriate and proper for the police to be notified in terms of providing security to the larger communities around Gamashi. Therefore, people should discard this matter of curfew imposition and go about their normal duties. Meanwhile, patrol teams will patrol those areas to assure members of the public that nothing of the sort is taking place.
But Chief, I am saying that I saw and heard the vehicle this afternoon around 12:30 around Mamprobi Abodwe announcing that all shops should close by 7:30 p.m. tonight. What is your response to that?
The Regional Police Command made an inquiry or conducted an inquiry, contacted some chiefs, and they claim not to know anything about the curfew.
Okay.
So it might be a false alarm because Accra is governed by rules, laws for that matter, and nobody can just go on air and impose curfew without relating to the Ministry of the Interior, the police, and other security agencies, particularly the Accra Metropolitan Assembly too.
Okay. All right, I hope Police patrols will be around this evening to protect citizens who would like to move about and do their business from 7:30 p.m. to them. But the police officer is saying it's a false alarm.
Certainly, Issa. You're still live here on News 360. Let's take a look at our MTN Visual reports this evening as Ray Joshua Emeka reports on an uncompleted classroom block in Amile of the Volta region.
This is the 3-unit classroom blocks that was started about 5 years ago for the basic school in Amule. The building has left uncompleted. This is where they are at the moment. The teachers are under the sun teaching during classes. We pleading to the public to come in and help 4 students into a desk. This is the only completed classroom block. This block was started year 2000 and then completed in 2006. This is the headmaster's bungalow. There is no electricity. Look at the headmaster's toilet. I'm Raymond, reporting from Amule in the Volta region of Ghana.
You can also send your video report via WhatsApp on 055-143-3044. You're watching News 360, also live on channel 279 on DSTV. We will return shortly. Stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us on News 360. Good evening. My name is Nanikia Mensah Bumper. To our very first business story for tonight. The Minister for Business Development, Mohammed Awal, has disclosed that 60 million cedis will be dedicated this year to enhance and equip entrepreneurs with their business modules and activities. The capital funding will be an interest-free loan to be paid after 3 years.
More than 2,000 young Ghanaian entrepreneurs applied but were shortlisted to 500. 10 finalists were selected to pitch their business ideas to a panel of judges. They will receive between 10,000 cedis and 50,000 cedis to help them fund their businesses, depending on their scope.
My team together, we've made an initial investment of land at the value of 30,000 Ghana cedis. And then we are asking for 50,000 Ghana cedis to help us purchase the carbonization machine to help us produce at 10 tons per day.
We are going to assemble at least 6 of the FACO ambulance to operate, like I said, focus in the northern region. And then if the business goes well, then we scale up to other deprived communities in the country.
In the first year of our business, we project 10 permanent jobs with over 100 commission-based job opportunities for nurses, doctors, and other health service providers.
The maiden presidential pitch was won by 19-year-old Vanessa Aisha Liman, who received 50,000 cedis prize from the president to help fund her agro-processing initiative.
What is the 3-month projection plan?
Okay, if you invest 55,000 Ghana cedis as raw materials for capital and everything, we make a profit of 25,000 Ghana cedis in 3 months.
The 19-year-old young lady from Golu, Vanessa Liman, for special attention and a personal donation of 25,000 cedis.
Right, so let's take the actual story once again. And the Minister for Business Development, Mohammed Awal, has disclosed that 60 million cedis will be dedicated this year to enhance and equip entrepreneurs with their business modules and activities. Okay, so we'll be looking at that one in subsequent bulletins, but let's move away from that to look at energy. And the Tema oil refinery toll has shut down again following a shortage of crude oil at the facility. Now, the refinery, which has the capacity to refine about 45,000 barrels of crude oil a day, has been operating below capacity for some time now. TV3 business checks reveal the refinery is unable to raise letters of credit to procure crude oil, and the government instituted the toll debt recovery levy in a bid to clear the massive debt on toll books as a result of under-recoveries, which was in excess of 1.9 billion cedis in 2015. Now, a Debt Recovery Fund Levy Act 2003, Act 642, was subsequently passed. Let's do some international business news now. Harley-Davidson plans to shift some motorcycle production away from the U.S. to avoid substantial burden of European Union tariffs. Last week, the EU imposed retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, including bourbon, orange juice, as well as motorcycles. Wisconsin-based Harley-Davidson has assembly plants in Australia, Brazil, India, and Thailand. The company said it would raise investment in its international plans, but did not say which ones. Now, the firm's decision is one of the most visible consequences of the trade disputes triggered by U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to levy tariffs on steel and aluminium. The tariffs, which Trump says are necessary to maintain national security, have drawn retaliation from the EU, Canada, Mexico, India, and others, while driving up the cost of metals for manufacturers in the U.S. There's more news on 3news.com. That will do for business tonight. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa. Isa is standing by with more. Good evening.
Thank you, Nanikia. In other news tonight, the Ashesi University College has officially been granted a presidential charter to award its own degrees. At the 14th commencement and presentation, President Akufo-Addo hinted universities could be granted charters within 4 years.
Since 2002, when Ashesi University College opened its doors to a pioneer class of 30 students in single-rented building at Labone, the university has seen a steady growth. Founder Patrick Iwua reiterated the university's commitment to continue churning out efficient human resource to propel growth.
We're here today completing a project we set out to do to build an independently run institution of higher learning, to build a great African university that would contribute towards nurturing exceptional leaders and citizens for our world. It has required persistence to come this far. Yet, today also marks the beginning of a new project for us.
After a rigorous review of the University College curriculum, finances, governance and infrastructure by the National Accreditation Board, the institution has been granted a presidential charter to award its own degrees.
Government is taking steps to accelerate the grant of presidential charters to other private universities because of their contribution to education and learning in the country. Cabinet has recently approved the imminent establishment of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, which will henceforth be the regulator of all tertiary institutions in the country. The commission is to provide regulations which will enable all universities, public and private alike, to be treated fairly and equally, and thereby expedite the treatment of deserving applications for presidential charters by private universities, which should not take more than 4 years to acquire.
The class of 2018 were conferred with Bachelors of Science in Business Administration, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, and Bachelor of Science in Management Information Systems.
Now, seafarers have called for global attention to issues affecting their work and lives. Security threats, including piracy, is impacting negatively on their work. These concerns were raised at an event in Tema to mark International Seafarers Day. The International Maritime Organization in 2010 designated June 25 as the International Day of the Seafarer to acknowledge their invaluable work and bring to global attention issues affecting their work. Director General for the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, noted the hazardous conditions under which seafarers work, called on beneficiaries of their service to recognize their tremendous sacrifices.
The seafarer's role is crucial, not only for the safe operations of ships, but also for the smooth delivery of cargo. The Day of the Seafarer is celebrated to acknowledge the invaluable work of seafarers, but also to bring global attention to the issues affecting their work and life. I urge shipping companies, industry players, and indeed all of us to be active on social media and to wish seafarers a good day at sea.
The first Vice President of Maritime Professionals Club, Teddy Mensah, urged authorities to ensure safety at high seas.
Taking note of the working environment is very critical to the performance of the seafarer. Taking note of service conditions which we are offered is equally important. Even taking time to read properly through contract agreements go a long way to enhance the performance of the seafarer at sea.
Captain Vivian Amegavi of Ghana Maritime University appealed to stakeholders in the maritime industry to give equal opportunity to women.
No matter what you do, how much you prove your competence, you are not accepted. I know of female captains or now captains who have served in position as chief officers for years. We are highly being demarginalized in this field, and it adds up to our mental stress and torture more than the men.
Let's crave your indulgence a little bit into this story about a young person whose parents' poor financial status would not enable him undergo surgery. 2-year-old David Gatti was diagnosed in heart after birth. Our reporter Lucia Yamila spent some time with the family at Winneba in the central region and has come through with the following report.
David has been living with a ventricular septal defect, otherwise known as a hole in heart condition. He was diagnosed of the defect 3 months old after birth at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra. To listen to his heartbeat, her mother says she either places her ear on his back or chest. Little David, as he is affectionately called, is a nursery pupil who her mother described as brilliant, but condition will not allow him to be regular at school. His mother said though he acts normal and plays a lot, he constantly falls sick, making her worried. Saddened about his son's condition, she revealed her business is on the verge of collapse, having spent all her money seeking treatment for him.
My son's condition is very terrible. I will not even wish it on my enemy. It is really expensive.
She appealed to the public for financial support to enable little David, who currently requires $6,000 to undergo a surgery to repair the defect at the Cardiothoracic Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Another unfortunate one there.
Yeah. For such a little one to be, cleaning the tears of the mother because of the difficulties they go through.
Absolutely.
I'm sure would have to help and hope for a better welfare system for some people of this country.
Certainly. We call on you to visit TV3 Network here today, so Kanda, to support him if you can. You're watching News 360. We've got some sports news coming up for you with Thierry Nyan in a few moments. Stay with us.
Right, so let's do some entertainment news tonight. Starting off with some bad news because popular Nigerian singer D'banj has lost his 13-month-old son Daniel Oyebanjo. D'banj's son is reported to have drowned in a pool at the singer's residence in Ikoyi in Lagos on Sunday afternoon.
D'banj and his wife, Didi Linio, welcomed their son, named after D'banj himself, Daniel Oyebanjo, in May 2017. Daniel, aged 1, is reported to have drowned on Sunday afternoon at the singer's residence at Ikoye in Lagos. Reacting to the news, Don Jazzy wrote, "Just heard the worst news in a long time." Wizkid's tweet read, "Praying for strength for you and your family, D'banj, God's own." Consoling D'banj, rapper Sarkodie posted, "This will be difficult to handle. Only God can help you go through this. Sorry, bro." Genevieve Naji wrote, "Please join me in saying this prayer as we commiserate with the Oyebanjo family at this time. We can never fully understand the pain of others, but every little prayer helps." Ghanaian actress Nadia Buhari tweeted, "There is nothing more devastating than losing a child. I pray that you have the strength for today and a fifth for tomorrow."
Well, rather sad. Our heart goes out to the Benjamin family. Now, away from that, going to the BETs. That happened on Sunday. South African recording artist Java beat Ghanaian rapper Kwesi Arthur and 8 others to win the 2018 BET Viewers' Choice New Best International Act category. Winner of the Best African Act category, Davido encouraged a gathering of hip-hop stars and movie makers to visit Africa, experience the rich culture, and collaborate with the musicians.
Tema-based rapper Kwesi Arthur lost out to South African hip-hop artist Java at the BET Viewers' Choice Best New International Act category. In a tweet, the Grind Day hitmaker reacted to news of him losing out. He tweeted, "How can I lose when I came from nothing?"
Best International Act.
And the BET award goes to Davido, Nigeria!
Davido beats the likes of Tiwa Savage, Buba, Casper Nyovest, and others to win the Best International Act award category. In his acceptance speech, he invited the gathering of hip-hop stars and top movie makers to visit Africa, experience the rich culture, and collaborate with African artists.
My continent has been so blessed to influence so many cultures. Amigos just left 2 years ago. I remember when they came. That was amazing. But I'm telling you guys, yo, come to Africa. Eat the food. Eat the food. Wear the clothes. Let's collaborate. Everybody, let's collaborate, man. I'm saying it now. J. Cole, yo, Quay, I'm waiting for that verse, Quay. I'm waiting on that verse, Quay.
Davido joins fellow countryman Wizkid as the 2 most decorated African acts at the BET. They have each won the category twice. Cardi B, who wasn't able to make it to the event as she is heavily pregnant, won big by scooping 2 awards, Best Female Hip Hop Artist and the Coca-Cola Viewers' Choice Award for her smash hit Bodak Yellow. Black Panther won the Best Movie Award.
You play checkers, couldn't beat the plane check. Now I'm about to turn around. Bitches, King Kong.
Well, that's about it for entertainment news tonight. My name is Miriam. You can catch me on the Urban Blend tomorrow at 10 a.m. on 3FM 92.7. Issa, Natalie, how was your weekend?
It wasn't bad. It was pretty good.
Wonderful.
Yeah?
How's yours too?
Very relaxing.
I can see.
Likewise.
Right, that's it for this edition of News 360. My name is Hisa Morning.
I'm Natalie Forbes. Visit our website. It's 3news.com for some more news. Remember, news at 10 will simulcast on our sister station, 3FM 92.7. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your evening.